By the time you finish this video, you'll understand something most people in tech still haven't figured out. It doesn't matter how good your AI demo is. It doesn't matter if Disney writes you a $1 billion check. If it costs you $15 million a day to keep the lights on, and you're making $2 million in revenue, not per month, not per quarter, $2 million total in the entire life of the product, you're already dead. You just haven't stopped moving yet. On March 24th, 2026, OpenAI killed Sora, their AI video app, the one that hit #1 on the App Store faster than ChatGPT did, the one Disney had just bet $1 billion on. No wind down period, no gradual sunset. Just a Tuesday afternoon announcement and a vague promise about robotics research. This is the story of how the most hyped AI product of 2025 went from launch to funeral in 6 months, and why the numbers were screaming for months before anyone pulled the plug. To understand why the death of Sora matters, you need to remember how it was born. February 2024. OpenAI drops a demo reel. Woolly mammoths walking through snow. A woman strolling through Tokyo. Cinematic, detailed, generated entirely from text. The clips looked like something out of a film studio, and they'd been made by typing a sentence into a box. Hollywood panicked. Tyler Perry put an $800 million studio expansion on hold after watching those demos. The conversation wasn't whether AI video would change the industry, it was how fast. Then came Sora 2. September 2025. OpenAI didn't just release a better model, they built an app around it. A standalone social platform, the vertical feed, user-generated content, community sharing. Picture TikTok, but every video is made by AI. They called the flagship feature cameos. You scan your face, and the app generates videos of you doing things you never did. It exploded. Over 1 million downloads in the first 10 days. Hit #1 in the App Store's photo and video category within 24 hours. By November, monthly downloads had reached 3.3 million. And then in December, the deal that was supposed to make the whole thing work. Disney, the same Disney that had been sending cease and desist letters to other AI companies for using its characters, signed a 3-year agreement with OpenAI, $1 billion in equity investment, licensing rights for over 200 characters, Mickey Mouse, Iron Man, Yoda, all of them available inside Sora. Sam Altman and Bob Iger stood together on CNBC and called it a new era for entertainment. An OpenAI executive compared it to the end of the silent film era. That was 3 months ago. The problem started before the Disney ink was dry. Copyright was the first fire. Sora 2 launched with an opt-out policy for intellectual property, meaning copyright holders had to contact OpenAI to get their content blocked, rather than being asked permission up front. Within weeks, users were generating videos of Mario smoking weed, Pikachu doing ASMR. The Motion Picture Association demanded OpenAI take action. Japan's Content Overseas Distribution Association, representing Studio Ghibli, Square Enix, Bandai Namco, sent a formal letter telling OpenAI to stop using their content entirely. OpenAI switched to an opt-in model, but by then the damage was done. Fewer pop culture references meant fewer shareable videos. The viral engine that had fueled the app's growth was the same engine creating its legal exposure. Then came the deepfakes. TechCrunch called Sora the creepiest app on your phone. Users were generating realistic videos of dead celebrities. Robin Williams, George Carlin, Martin Luther King Jr. The family spoke out publicly, calling this videos hurtful. SAG-AFTRA, the actors' union, pushed for restrictions. OpenAI responded by blocking specific public figures, but only after the backlash had already gone wide. A third-party tool that stripped Sora's watermark appeared within a week of launch. 1 week. And behind all of this, the numbers were getting worse. The head of Sora, Bill Peebles, said it himself on X in October 2025. His exact words, "The economics are currently completely unsustainable." This wasn't a critic or an analyst. This was the man running the product, telling the public it couldn't afford to exist. Forbes and Cantor Fitzgerald analyst Deepak Mathivanan put numbers to it. Each 10-second video clip cost OpenAI roughly $1.30 in GPU time to generate. Across millions of users, that added up to an estimated $15 million per day. Annualized, that's $5.4 billion. The total revenue the app generated from in-app purchases over its entire 6-month life? $2.1 million. Downloads peaked in November at 3.3 million. By December, they dropped 32%. By January, another 45%. By February 2026, monthly downloads sat at 1.1 million and falling. Retention after 30 days for pro users paying $200 a month was reportedly below 8%. The Disney deal was supposed to fix this. Premium licensed content as a justification for higher pricing tiers. A billion-dollar investment to shore up the balance sheet. Instead, the deal became a weight around a sinking product. And all of this was happening while OpenAI was preparing for an IPO. A company valued at somewhere between $730 billion and $840 billion, projected to lose $14 billion in 2026. A video app bleeding compute while generating almost no revenue is not the kind of thing you want on your books when you're trying to convince public market investors you know how to make money. Fidji Simo, OpenAI's head of applications, held an all-hands meeting in March and told staff the company could not afford to be distracted by what she called side quests. On Tuesday, March 24th, Sam Altman walked into a staff meeting and told employees Sora was done. The Sora team would pivot to world simulation research for robotics. The app, the website, the API, all of it shutting down. The official statement said almost nothing. We're saying goodbye to the Sora app. What you made with Sora mattered. Disney found out roughly 30 minutes after a working meeting, where both companies' teams were still actively discussing the partnership. A billion-dollar deal announced on CNBC 3 months earlier dissolved in an afternoon. Disney released a statement saying it respects OpenAI's decision to exit the video generation business. If you've ever worked in a corporate environment, you know what that kind of language actually means. Some Sora employees described the announcement as a rug pull. They'd been building features, planning roadmaps, shipping updates. The safety team had published new safety standards for the platform literally the day before the shutdown was announced. Different teams inside OpenAI were operating on completely different timelines. Users got a vague promise that they'd be able to export their content before the app goes dark on April 26th. So what does this actually mean for you? If you're building anything on top of AI tools right now, the Sora story is a warning shot. Not about video specifically, about the gap between what's technically possible and what's financially survivable. OpenAI built something that looked incredible in a demo. It rattled an entire industry. Tyler Perry shelved an $800 million expansion because of it. Disney bet $1 billion on it. And it couldn't survive 6 months as a real product because the cost of running it was roughly 2,500 times higher than the revenue it brought in. OpenAI looked at that math and made a choice. Kill the flashy consumer product. Focus on what generates actual revenue. Prepare for an IPO. That's not a failure of imagination. It's a recognition that impressive demos do not fix unit economics at scale. If you're a creator who relied on Sora, you're now looking at alternatives. If you're a business building workflows around AI tools, you're looking at a company that shut down a product 3 months after signing a $1 billion deal for it. If you're watching this industry trying to figure out where it's heading, the direction is clear. It's heading toward the tools that make money. The technology behind Sora isn't gone. OpenAI says the team is pivoting to world simulation for robotics. The model will still be available behind ChatGPT's paywall for a while, but the standalone product, the one that was supposed to prove AI video could be a real consumer business, is dead. It took $1 billion Disney deal with it. If you want to understand how this same pattern is playing out across the rest of the AI industry, companies burning billions to chase products that can't pay for themselves, that's what this channel covers. Subscribe if you want to see the numbers.